Welcome, everyone, to the Rush to Fail podcast. This is BJ Gramillion. I am the host of the Rush to Fail podcast, and it's been about 12 episodes now. And so I'm actually recording this episode in my office. We had a couple appointments fall through, and so I said, hey, look, this is the perfect time. I got about an hour. But I'm not going to take an hour. I promise you this will be much shorter than that. But I do have quite a few announcements that I wanted to bring up. But before we get to those, something that's been on my mind, I am a huge Elon Musk fan. I know that for whatever reason, he's become polarizing now. And I know that, that whatever politics, anytime someone gets involved in that, it seems like they are cannibalized and thrown to the wolves, and all of a sudden they become controversial for whatever reason. But before all of that, about 7 years ago, I actually remember where I was. I was getting my hair cut, which, funny enough, I don't have any more hair, which is a blessing and a curse. I kind of enjoy doing my own hair now. Every week I can just buzz it myself, but that's beside the point. But I was, funny enough, sitting in the waiting area, and I was reading a magazine. Believe it or not, there was a magazine still at that time, but it was about Tesla, and it was about one of their cars. And I remember reading all the different specs on it and just thinking, man, that is like a car from the future, right? Like it's hard to believe that something like that even exists or will exist, because it was so revolutionary, so different. And so I'm like, man, that there's no way someone's going to pull this off, because we're all used to the status quo. We're all used to going to Ford or Chevy or Kia, whatever, you name it. And, every year, and I think they do this clearly on purpose, they tweak, every year they're like, oh, now you get Bluetooth. Oh, now you get Bluetooth and, smart cruise control or something, like they just purposely, I feel like they just add little tiny tweaks here and there. And so that every year you want to go back and buy, the new and updated version of it. But it's not, let's be honest, there's nothing exciting about them, right? They do not innovate. So in walks Elon Musk. And the reason why I love Elon Musk, is because he is the ultimate disruptor. In fact, Tony Stark, think about Iron Man. He was actually the inspiration for that movie. Robert Downey Jr. went to Elon Musk just to see how he lived, right? And he wanted to mimic a lot of his acting actually after Elon Musk. I'm not sure if you guys know that or not. But yeah, I mean, he is today's version, the real life version of Iron Man, right? Like he is the Tony Stark. And so, he doesn't just go in and tweak at all. Like he goes in and blows things up. And so when I think of the Rush to Fail podcast, the entire reason behind starting the Rush to Fail podcast and the reason for that name was based off of Elon Musk, believe it or not. Like it was that mentality that he has of fail fast, fail quickly, fail often. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to improve. In fact, he had a quote, and someone asked him, what is the secret to his success and in all of business? Because it seems like he's got his hands in so many different businesses that he started. But he said, failure is an option here. If you are not failing, you are not innovating. So I just want everyone to think about that for a minute. Think about, anytime all of us get to a point where maybe we're stagnant, maybe we're not evolving, maybe we're not improving. And maybe look at those times and is that when you were happiest? I mean, is that when, you felt alive? Like you look at kids, right? We've got plenty of kids. I got 5 kids. So, a bunch of them running around, my poor wife, bless her heart. But, it's pretty awesome to watch them though, because every day they wake up, they don't know what they're going to do, but they just immediately just start tinkering with stuff, playing with stuff, checking things out, and they're just running around all day, checking things out, jumping off stuff, exploring, trying different things. And I wish I could put like a camera on them, I mean, it would tire me out just watching, especially, we have twin 2-year-olds. They're almost 3. One of them, it's a boy girl, twin combo. So Mac, he is the funniest kid to watch, man. He's not interested in TV, doesn't care about video games, screens at all, which is fantastic. Because I hate those. But he just is all about just bouncing around from one thing to the next. And the kid is constantly eating. Like, for the first time ever, I've thought about putting a lock on our pantry and on our fridge, because he is constantly just, he'll eat an apple, like he'll eat a half an apple, drop it wherever he wants, go to the fridge, get a popsicle, get a banana, get whatever. And he can eat nonstop. I've never seen anything like it, but his metabolism is like mine, where it's just constantly going. So, I swear he poops like 5 times a day too. And so anyways, it's fun to watch them explore, though, because every day is like, the first day ever, right? It's kind of like us when we go on a vacation and everything's new. I feel like that is how it is for a child, and that's why they grow so quickly, and that's why they are just sponges. So Elon Musk, I don't know how he did it, but I feel like he's never lost that just curiosity, that he has in life. And so a big reason why I'm a huge Elon Musk fan is, again, because he just doesn't he's relentless, he is curious, and he is going to go for not just like tweaking around the edges, right? Like, I think most of us, whenever we're goal setting, for example, the advice is always, okay, what did you do this year? And, can you improve a little bit for next year? Maybe you improve 5-10% or whatever on this metric or that metric. And so, that's all great. Elon Musk does not think that way. Okay. And I know that because you look at the fruit of what he has done. So just bear with me here. I'm gonna just, like, I started thinking about all the companies that he started, because everyone knows Tesla. Some people know about SpaceX, and so, but just so you guys kind of have an understanding of how incredible this man is, he started as he actually designed a video game when he was like 12 and sold that. He then started up PayPal. Really, the whole purpose of PayPal, he dropped out of college, right? After 2 days at Stanford, was like, yeah, this is stupid. I'm sure he felt he was much smarter than pretty much everyone there, I'm sure. So he was like, no, I need to get out there and go change the world. He truly feels like he needs to change the world, right? So he, drops out of college, starts PayPal. Really, he just did that to make a bunch of money so that he could then pursue what he was passionate about, which was energy efficiency and not relying on fossil fuels. So that was a big thing for him. So he started up a car company. He knew that people wouldn't want cars unless they were sexy, and they were super cool and had all these features and stuff. In fact, that was the reason for the different models, right? It was supposed to spell SEXY, but of course the E, I believe, was taken already, and so it was a 3, right? So it's backward E, and so for those of you that don't know, yeah, it's supposed to spell out sexy. So he has the model S, 3, X, and Y, which is just kind of funny. He does things like that all the time. He's fascinated with 420. He's so he always puts that in there in a lot of his purchases, and anyways, we'll go into some other stuff, but he started up PayPal, made about $185 million from that, put that into Tesla. And a lot of people don't know this either about Elon Musk, but in 2008, I think it was, whenever everyone was going out of business, right? And we might not even know the name of Elon Musk outside of PayPal had this happen, but yeah, he was pretty much out of money. It was days from filing bankruptcy for Tesla. And he got a contract from NASA, to because he was also working on a project for SpaceX and starting up that company. And anyways, he got a contract just in the nick of time, which saved his business. He also, there's always just these interesting facts of what could have been, right? He almost sold to Google for $11 billion. And at the last minute that fell through. So, Tesla almost went to them. Sure, they wish they could take that back, obviously, but He's done that, but not only those companies, he also has, Solar City, Neuralink, which he wants to put brain chips in people's brains because he's actually really concerned about AI. He's concerned that it's going to take over the world. In fact, he's like truly like it scares him. It keeps him up. So he's like, I want to put brain chips in people, or computer chips in people's brains, so that they can be prepared to take on the robots. Right. So Terminator, he believes in it. And take it a step further, he's very scientific. He's like a sci-fi movie, right? So he also has started he started SpaceX, which is now a huge company, and people use it for launching satellites and those kind of things. The reason for that, though, again, these are not small goals, right? So he started it because he believes that we need to, in order to survive as a human species, what if something happens to Earth? We need to be prepared to go to Mars or some other planet and be able to populate that. So that's the reason behind it. He has purpose, and so it's incredible to see what a brilliant mind, along with purpose, can do. And so we will look back and be like, hey, Ben Franklin was great, but I'm sorry, he can't hold a candle to Elon Musk and the type of changes that man has done. And he's still going, so he started up, Neuralink, Starlink internet. Ask, Ukraine how they feel about that. He basically saved them because they were able to get internet through Starlink, which he provided for free. Then, of course, Twitter, which we all understand that story, still playing out. But everyone that doubts him, just give it a minute. I promise you, he'll come up with something incredible. He even has the Boring Company. I'm not sure if any of you guys know that one. He hates traffic, right? He lived in LA, hated traffic. So his solution was to start a boring company, right? So that he built this bore that was going to go underground, and like a underground tunnel system, like a subway system with hyperloop, so that they would go, 200 miles an hour, and he could get places incredibly fast. So he's still working on that. So he's working on all these companies, right? The reason why I bring up Elon Musk, though, again, is just because I really appreciate the fact that he is completely comfortable with failure, and that's how I've been. I think I've embraced it more and more as I've gotten older. I just don't care, I really do have. I've gotten to that point where I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't work, who cares? Like, I'll think of something else, and that's the beauty of this day and age. There's really no excuse. If you are unhappy with how much money you make or whatever, I'm sorry, there's just not an excuse. You can get knocked down. I've been knocked down. In fact, over the last year and a half, we hit a recession, and it hurt. And, we're still working on digging ourselves out of that. But again, there's so many opportunities, and there's so many lessons learned from that as well, that I know that I'll be better for in the future. And so, again, the whole purpose of the podcast is it has been focused on failure, overcoming failure, being comfortable with failure, and not having that as such a negative word, I guess. And so, this year has been the year where I'm like, okay, I really want to push myself. 23 is my favorite number, so 2023 has to be a big year, right? So that's just how I've gone into this year. I've been really excited. My first goal was a podcast, so got that in quarter one. Quarter two, believe it or not, was I wanted to see if we could make it a reality where we actually move to Tennessee, across the country, where we've been buying homes for the last 18 months. And so, believe it or not, like, that worked. Everything worked out perfectly. We had the right home come along at the right time. So we were able to, get that as well lined up. We move in a month, and that's crazy. So moving 7 of us across country is going to be quite the experience. But yeah, like I'm super excited. And then I, have some announcement for quarter three that I'll talk about at the end here. But really my goal has been really this year of not necessarily trimming around the edges, but trying to make big moves, big impactful moves that will set us up for success in the future. and if it doesn't, hey, I'm going to swing. Like I'm taking swings and I'm having a good time doing it. And, you know, it's also fun to have a podcast to document, these things on occasion. And so anyways, I say all of this and I talk about change because after 12 episodes now, believe it or not, I'm changing the podcast name. And I know that a lot of people that know me, they're probably like, oh, of course he is. He doesn't stick to it, right? Like there's always this constant change. And, but here's the thing, I'm going to continue with the podcast like I have been. It'll be on a weekly basis. None of that will change. The focus will still be on interviewing people, talking about their story, highlighting some of their successes, how they've come, through failure, to get to the other side, where success was. And so the entire premise still stays the same. However, I do want to tie the real estate side of my business with the podcast as well. And just really the goal is going to be to attract as many people as possible. And so I've talked to some mentors, I've talked to coaches. I'm in 2 masterminds. I'm a big believer in education. And so talking with these people, they've all said really more or less the same thing. And they just said, look, your messaging needs to follow with the podcast name. And so giving it a ton of thought, it's really hard for me to come up with names. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but it's just, it's hard for whatever reason. And you got to see if the domain is available, if the podcast name is available, all that stuff. Right. So even if you do find a good name, it's always like, oh, well, it's already taken. So after giving it a ton of thought, the new name of the podcast is going to be the Real Powerhouse Podcast. And so the reason why I'm going with the Real Powerhouse Podcast, that's kind of a mouthful. Sorry. It's going to take a while for me to get used to this. And I wanted to add the word real in front of powerhouse because, real estate, but not just that. I also want to incorporate the word real because I do believe words do matter. Real to me is also important because I believe in genuine. I believe in being genuine. I believe I really like people that are genuine, period, right? That are authentic, that if anyone is fake, I have a pretty high radar for telling like, yeah, that person is full of crap. Right. And I think that humans, most of us have that. In fact, I think all of us do. Right. I think that it's an important survival mechanism, to know if someone is full of crap or not, or if they're telling the truth. And so I think I've always I enjoy talking to people that are a little bit different, that are a little bit odd, right? That are different from me. As long as they're true to themselves, as long as they're being authentic. So that was a big deal to me. That's why real, and then of course, real estate, right? It ties that in. But powerhouse is a word that I've thought about for a long time, right? And I think that anytime, like in sports, for example, if someone is just an incredible athlete, like, LeBron James or Tom Brady or, you name it, there's plenty of, incredible athletes that we can talk about, but all of them, I think people would refer to them as a powerhouse. And to me, that means they are full of energy. I looked at some of the synonyms for powerhouse, and there was like energy, excitement, power, successful, impressive, capable, empathetic, emphatic, alive, all of these words that I guess I'm attracted to, and that I think that everyone wants to be associated with people that are powerhouses in life, in business, in their home life, like you name it, or in sports, all those things. I think it's something that we all aspire to be, is a powerhouse in our own right, And so, again, the people that I interview that are bringing on the show, these are people that I really look up to. These are people that I think that the world should know and that people should hear from because they got a cool story. And a lot of them they weren't born a powerhouse, right? Like, I think that it's something that, sure, they have a lot of tools, but they had to figure out what those, what their superpowers are. And that takes time to figure out. And then not only that, but they leaned into it. They figured out how to, maximize their potential. So, powerhouse to me, like, that's the goal. Like, I think that I'm trying to, raise the level, raise the bar. Every time that we bring in someone to interview on the show, I definitely want them to be someone that has a cool story, and how they became a powerhouse. And so anyways, that is going to be the new name of the podcast. I'm excited for it. Rush to Fail podcast. It's a perfect name to start. I just said, look, the number one goal is just to start a podcast, right? And then I'm sure that I'd be making changes and tweaks. But for me, the only way to learn how to do that is just to start somewhere and then to kind of figure it out as I go. So each episode I felt like I've improved, in increments and figured things out, what I want and what I don't want. So that is a big one for me. The branding is going to change and all that kind of stuff. I'll keep the logo more or less the same, but it's going to have that the P for Property Rush, Property Spot. Those are my two companies that are in real estate. It'll incorporate that as well. So it'll all just kind of tie together. And so on our website, you're going to be able to, access the podcast as well as, the properties that we have for turnkeys and investment properties and all that fun stuff. So there you have it. That's the big announcement for today. And, I think this is going to be one that will stick and that I'm excited about. I want to build a brand around that, right? So when I move out to Tennessee, that there's going to be more to it. So that's the first chapter. And the next phase of this that I want to also announce on the show is I'm going to actually be putting together a training program for people that are looking to get into real estate, that want to learn how to, make a living with investing in real estate, and not just for people that want to maybe have a career in real estate, but also for people that have invested in real estate, maybe want to get a little bit better, or they want to invest passively in real estate. Most of the people that I work with, investors that we help out today, are typically your business owners, that make good money. They have some money on the side, and they're looking to invest that money, and diversify. And so we're able to help them on that. And so this could also apply to them as well. But really, after 15 years of investing in real estate, learned quite a bit. And I get so many people now that are coming to me and asking me, hey, can I shadow you? Can I ask you questions? Can I maybe get some feedback on how did you get started? Like, what do I need to do to get started in real estate? And these are people across the country. And so it finally dawned on me, what I need to do is just basically document what we do on a daily basis. And so we're putting together, it's a 7-week course. And it's just once a week for an hour. We have, training modules and everything like that we've been putting together for this. And really what I'm going to do, and I think this is, for me, the best way to, I guess, get this launched is going to be, we are going to charge $195. The whole reason why I'm charging it, obviously that's not a crazy number. I think that most people would be able to afford that, but really the whole reason for that is I think that it is important that you have some skin in the game. I would gladly do it for free. But I do think that there's value, and I think that people place value on something that when they are personally invested in it. So it'll be $195. There's going to be, again, it's a 7-week course. Now, that money that you invest and that time that you invest in yourself to learn about the investment side of real estate, you will make that money back in the first 10 minutes, right? By the end of the first hour, you will 10x that return, right? If you go out and do the things that you learn, you'll easily 100x that return in the first year if you apply any of those, all the things that you learn in that. It obviously requires action on your part, but again, it's just another education course for people that are, and this is a no frills, no fluff. I'm a big believer in just meat and potatoes. I don't want any frills. I don't want anything on any dressing, anything on the side that's going to be a waste of time. I'm not about that. This is just going to be, okay, if you really do want to get going and you want to start, investing today, here's how you do it. And I'll provide all the steps and processes and software and all that stuff that goes along with it, just so that, you understand how you can quickly scale your business. And so, or your real estate investing. And so, this will apply to people that have invested in real estate before, but want to scale. It'll apply to people that are just getting started. It really just, no matter what phase you're in, if you're interested in real estate, this is going to be a course that we're going to be offering. And so really, I'm just going to do the first 10 people that are interested, want to do it. I'm sure it'll fill up super fast. I'm going to do it this way just because I want to spend time perfecting it, improving it, working with, so it's not going to be perfect by any stretch. Again, I'll rely on everyone's feedback. That's why we're going to do it for a crazy low price. And then once, we get the opportunity to go through this course, I'm sure that, the next round obviously is going to be substantially more than that. But again, I think that this is just kind of part of the progression of the business. And it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I enjoy coaching and training, and education. And so anyways, I'm excited. That's going to be available. We're going to do it in July. So, I got to get situated in Tennessee first. And so, there'll be about a month here where it's going to be crazy just getting moved in and all that kind of stuff. But once we're out there, we're going to be offering that. So those are a couple big announcements. If you've made it all the way to the end of this podcast, I do appreciate it. One last thing that I did want to say, when I was thinking about Powerhouse, the Real Powerhouse Podcast, and I've been, mulling that over for the past 3 or 4 weeks. As I looked around and I looked at different podcasts that had the word powerhouse in it, funny enough, it was always related to women. Like one of them, I think it's called Powerhouse Podcast, is all about, I think pageants, like beauty pageants, which is kind of funny. And so, if anyone, there's a little plug for you, I guess, if you're looking to, become the next Miss America, go ahead and listen to that podcast. I'm sure you'll get some insight from it. But there were some other ones too, like women and like powerhouse women and some other things. And I thought it was interesting. I don't know, why that is, like why, so many of them were geared towards women. But then as I thought more about it, I will say this, like when I think about a powerhouse, the number one person that comes to my mind, number 1 and 2 really, and they're pretty much on the same level. The first person that I thought of was my mom. The second, of course, being my wife. And so when I say that, I again, people might hear powerhouse and they think about, maybe sports comes to my mind, right? Or business and those kind of things. But really when you think about it and you think about all those synonyms, I think about my mom, she is an absolute powerhouse, 8 kids. She put my dad through med school. She was working, part-time, full-time, for parts of their marriage in the beginning, while she's having these babies. I think I was in a closet that they put me in while, they were working all day, just because she's trying to take care of, the little ones while she's also running my dad's business, the books, all the, accounting, all that stuff. She was doing it all. And she's just always been that way. She's always had to, manage kind of everything. And, she was a taxi service for all 8 kids, taking us around. I don't know when she slept. I don't know when, but she was just this constant source of energy and power. And I look at, even today, my dad has passed, but, she still has an open door. All the grandkids come over there all the time. And she constantly is wanting to help and serve and help others. And then I look at my wife, and I mean, the fact, first of all, that somehow I landed this incredible, wife and mother to our kids. I seriously, I still don't understand how it even happened, but it did. I'm grateful for it. But yeah, I mean, she Oh man, I could go on forever. Yeah, when the last 18 months have obviously, kind of been difficult for us, right? And I feel like people's true colors come out whenever there's adversity or a struggle. And I learned, and I already knew all this, right? But again, I just feel like when my back's up against the wall, there is absolutely nobody that I would rather be with than my wife. Because I mean, she can handle a lot. She does not ever tire. I swear she doesn't allow herself to get sick, even if she has a migraine, you wouldn't know it. She's going to keep going. And she can just take on a lot, of things. Like she's going to be the one that's going to do the majority of the move, I'm sure, and help with the kids and do all those things that are done behind the scenes that maybe everyone doesn't get to see, but she really is the rock. And so again, when I think of powerhouses, no one's going to be able to compete with those two in my life. And so I just, but with that said, I know that all of us in some form or fashion can be powerhouses in our powerhouses. And maybe some people just haven't yet recognized or realized what their superpower is and what it is that gives them a ton of energy and what attracts other people to them. But hopefully that, everyone out there listening will. But again, I'm super appreciative of those people that are just this incredible energy source, that are just constantly giving and helping others. And so again, that's the reason for the podcast name. That's the reason why I'm naming it what I am. That's why we're pivoting at this time. I'm doing it early enough so that it hopefully is not going to impact, future. It's not like I got this massive following by any stretch of the imagination, and it's hard to change. So I'm doing it early on, and I put a lot of thought into it. So hopefully it sticks. Hopefully, you guys understand, I guess, the reason for the change. And anyways, super excited for the future. Really excited to move to Tennessee. Excited to launch our education platform. It's going to have not just the education piece, by the way, it's going to have a ton of information on here are all the different services that you can use to, again, scale your business. And we've tried just about everything out there. I'm part of several masterminds. So there's a lot of knowledge that we're going to have to share and hopefully help people to, make more income and live a life that's financially free. So anyways, that's all I got for the show today, and excited for the future, and we will catch you on the next episode. Thanks so much.